done an MBA in marketing and an MCom and a master in mass communication and journalism. Was the only NDTV reporter who reported in English, Hindi, and business channels for the last 9 years. He worked in Lokmat Group newspapers Aurangabad from 1991 to 2003. Worked as a product manager at Lokmat Times. He joined NDTV Pune as a special correspondent. He's visited Michigan and USA as part of a group study exchange program for Rotary International. He loves anchoring shows and being masters of ceremony. Can you put our hands together and welcome our very own MLA, Mr. Imtiaz Jaleel.
Well, a very pleasant evening to all of you. Before I actually start speaking on the subject, let me make one thing very clear. Mr. Harsh Poddar, an IPS officer, he said he's the least qualified to speak on this subject. Mr. Brian said he's the least qualified to speak on this subject. I'm an Indian politician. I have to be the least qualified, but in spite of all this, I'm going to speak because Indian politicians are supposed to speak on any damn subject, whether it's making sense or it's not making any sense. So I'm sure this is clear once and for all. This is the India we dreamed of and wanted for our children. ऐ मेरे वतन के लोगों, जरा आंख में भर लो पानी, जो शहीद हुए हैं उनकी जरा याद करो कुर्बानी. 26 January 1963, when Lata Mangeshkar ji sang this song in a live program on Republic Day, there was not a single person in the audience who did not cry. Even today, when we listen to this song, we realize, yes, it was because of the supreme sacrifices of our brave soldiers that we could get independence. But for us today, Independence Day, Republic Day, means wearing tight white clothes, going to the school, college, the office ground, hurling the national tricolor, singing the national anthem, and that's it. Now nobody can question you. You are an Indian because you have hurled the national flag, sang the national anthem. That's it. But coming to the question, is this the India that we had dreamed? Ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest to you, yes, in spite of all the ups and downs, in spite of all the good and bad, in spite of all the love and hatred, yes, this is the country I want for my children. This is the country I just not want for my children, for my children's children, and my children's children's children. This is the country, this is the India. But coming to the first part of the topic, is this the India we dreamed of? Well, I dream, you dream, we all dream. But it's not always that all your dreams come true. It's not possible that every dream of every person becomes a reality. Much the same way, the India of my dreams is different from what it is today. Dreams are different, reality is otherwise. To tell you what the reality is, on September 28, 2017, almost 2 months back, 70 years after independence, there comes a headline in the newspaper saying an 11-year-old girl dies because of hunger and starvation in Jharkhand. On that same very day, in my office, there is another newspaper, and the headline of that newspaper says, the government is going to spend 1 lakh crore rupees, 1 lakh crore rupees on just one single bullet train from Ahmedabad to Mumbai. Friends, in the India of my dreams, I want that bullet train. But in the India of my dreams, I don't want that bullet train at the cost of that 11-year-old girl who died because of hunger and starvation. It pains me when I move around in the city. When you talk about India, for me India is my city. For me India is the number of villages that we visit. It pains me when I move around in the city and see why it is so that even after 70 years of independence, we have still not got good roads in our city. It pains me, it should pain you, it should hurt you, you should feel angry about it, that over 2,000 people from this very city are admitted to a hospital in cantonment because of gastro, because they are not getting clean drinking water. It pains me, it should pain you, it should hurt you, when there are a number of poor patients who come to my office almost every other day complaining that when they go to the government cancer hospital, the only government cancer hospital that caters to 13 districts, it caters to the poor patients. And when a cancer patient goes there for a simple MRI check, the doctors tell that patient to return after 3 months because there is a huge pending list. In a sense, what the doctors are telling that patient is that if you are rich enough, please go to a private hospital. If you are a poor person, try your luck, wait for 3 months. If you survive, come back, we'll do the MRI. It pains when we see the government saying we don't have funds for life-saving drugs. But it's the same government that is spending crores and crores of rupees on statues of political leaders. It should pain you when we see that a hospital, 200-bed hospital, gets sanctioned for the city of Aurangabad almost 4 years back. And since 3 years I have been fighting a lone battle with the government, with the administration, to start that hospital. We need a piece of 4 acres of government land. And in these 3 years what has happened is that only correspondence. The district collector writes to the civil surgeon writes to the PWD department, and all that they come to a conclusion after 3 years is that they don't have a 3-acre or a 4-acre piece of land to build a hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the same administration that sanctions 25 acres of land, government land, to build a memorial of a Shiv Sena leader in this very city. It's the same administration that sanctions 3 acres of prime government land to build a memorial of another political leader. And for a hospital, they don't have government land. My question is, India needs to set its priorities. We have had enough. And why this is happening is simply because the people who matter, they come out once every 5 years, they cast their vote, and that's it. Unless and until the people start questioning, their corporators, their MLAs, their MPs, the local leaders, the government officers, why this is not happening, how this is happening, unless and until the common people comes out and starts asking questions, trust me, things are not going to change. And if at all we want to change the system, it's for the youngsters to come forward. India is a beautiful country. It's a lovely country. My concern, as Mr. Brian said, today is about the growing intolerance in the country. That concerns everyone. That should concern you. That should concern me. Everyone. What concerns me today is the growing communal divide in this country. You know, when people say there is so much communal tension in this country, I give them an example. We are 3 brothers, born to the same parents, we lived in the same house, we ate the same food, we went to the same school, we went to the same college. 3 brothers, born to the same parents. The elder one is very silent. He lives a very disciplined life. The younger one has totally different attitude, nature. This is very different from the other 2 brothers. He talks very less. The middle brother is an idiot. That's me. So when we talk about this growing intolerance and the communal divide in this country, I tell the people, when 3 brothers in a family have different nature, India is my country, I love my country, and I'm proud of its rich and varied heritage. India is a country where everyone, each one of you are my brothers and sisters. When 3 brothers can have different attitudes, different nature, India is a huge, huge country. Obviously, the people may have different tastes, different likings, different dislikes, but still, in this country, you may be a Hindu, you may be a Muslim, you may be a Sikh, Christian, Parsi, Jain, whatever it is. But in the end, the one thing common between all of us is that we are proud Indians. And that is what matters the most. What is that matters the most? Friends, in the beginning only I said, you know, politicians, Indian politicians, can and should speak on every topic, whether it's making sense or not, whether I'm talking nonsense. You have to listen because you have elected me. I know most of you have not voted for me. But then, what I'm trying to say is that in this country, if there is one thing, that one change that I would like to bring about, I don't know how many of you, my young friends, have seen that Anil Kapoor film, Nayak. Yes. So in that film, Anil Kapoor is made the Chief Minister of the state for one day. If I become the Prime Minister of this country for one day, that can happen, by the way. Anything can happen in this country. If I become the Prime Minister of this country for one day, the one thing that I would like to change in that one day is that, you know, when I was listening to Harsh Kota, an IPS officer, a young IPS officer, I know the efforts he must have put in to get that coveted IPS. hard work he has put in, after all that education that he has taken, his boss at the end of the day could be an illiterate politician. That's the reality. I know for sure, if your principal, Mr. Michael J. Cruz, if he wants to recruit a peon in his school, I'm dead sure he must be looking for at least some basic qualifications, even while appointing a peon in his school. When we are appointing a police constable, that's the lowest rung among the police department. When you're recruiting a police constable, the police department looks for some basic qualification. It could be 10th pass, 12th pass, or 12th fail, but some basic qualification. But in this country, the only profession where no qualification is required is this profession. You don't need any qualifications to become a politician in this country, and that is the irony why we are facing so many problems in this country. And if I happen to become the Prime Minister of this country for one day, the one thing that I would like to change is that if anybody wants to contest the election, whether it's for the local bodies, the corporations, Zilla Parishad, MLA, MP, Mayor, any election, the basic education requirement should be at least a graduate to qualify him to be a politician. And if that happens, friends, then only things are going to improve in this country. It's a very unfortunate situation. It's a very unfortunate scene that in the name of democracy we have been doing all these things. But it's high time that we need some standards for the politicians of this country, because ultimately they are the ones who are making laws in this country. They are the people who are making decisions in this country, whether it's the assembly, whether it's the parliament. And if you send illiterate, uneducated people there, how things are going to work? But yes, I have lots of hope. I have lots of hope from this young gathering of my dear friends. And what is it? How is it that we can bring about the change? Well, Mr. Brian, you can think, I can think. And how is it that we can bring about the change? All we have to do is हर करम अपना करेंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए. If my dream and if your dream is the same, young boys there, young girls there, all of you join me. हर करम अपना करेंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए. So I have a lot of hopes and expectations. Our dreams may be different, your dreams may be different, my dream may be different, but ultimately our goals remain the same, and our goals are to see this country grow, prosper and develop. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Jaleel sir.